In a Swedish context, terms like culture or ethnicity is often used to describe something or someone that is un-Swedish or divergent. To be Swedish is a way of not being cultural. Being Swedish is representing the norm. When culture repeatedly is described as something that belongs to the others, the immigrants and so on, the term intercultural dialogue gets kind of weird. Dialogue demands a participation of at least two counterparts, a shared curiosity of something that reaches out from your own horizon. In Sweden, the notion of a good society with respectable values and norms is often described as a Swedish society, and as an immigrant you should kindly put your culture and ethnicity aside and adjust. As if there was just one way of being Swedish, as if the diversity in itself were something threatening to respectable values and norms. I believe that an intercultural dialogue must allow for reflections upon diversity within cultures, diversities that is marked by a person's life experiences, gender, religion, class differences, and so on. Culture can never be just one, and a nation can never represent just one culture. From my point of view, an intercultural dialogue is taking place wherever and whenever people interact with something or someone that challenges the familiar, the things you thought you already knew.
We live in a globalized world where in the shadow of our own physical existence we're surrounded by radio waves, microwaves, microfibers, papers, ones and zeros, carrying intercultural messages every split second. We can measure communications in currency bills, characters and digits, words or passages, but seldom do we find a concrete measure of the real impact and weight of the information carried out. Academics come up with new methods to study intercultural communications every day, the impact of a news story, the picture of one culture in the mind of the other. They can measure to a certain extent how an American sitcom has become a sensation in Middle Eastern couch culture, or how a Japanese cartoon subculture has become a trendsetter among German youth. And amongst all that, we see a trend, more information spreading from west to east, north to south, and seldom the other way around. What is lacking to a big extent is cultural representation in global intercultural communications. Now that China bought Swedish car maker Volvo from American mother company Ford, Swedes employed in the factories will suddenly find themselves foreign in their own nation to a language and a culture that is as far away from their own as could be.
Intercultural communication. Two very fancy words and not very easy to explain. I will try and use Manhattan as a metaphor. When the settlers came to the New World, they found a beautiful island and called it New Amsterdam. Why? Well, because they were Dutch. There was only one problem. Their beautiful island was already filled with troublesome people who were there first and thought they had the right to be there. So, the Europeans simply bought the island for a few glass beads and a bottle of booze. Since the natives didn't understand the concept of private ownership, the colonizers made a bargain and actually founded their city on faulty intercultural communication. Then the British arrived and renamed the place New York. Eventually, it became the center of a huge empire that spanned the globe. They even built 2 towers there, from where their leaders could rule. They still didn't care about intercultural communication though. And why should they? They were invincible. Everyone played their role in this charade until someone suddenly struck a blow at the heart of the empire. When the towers fell on 9/11, everyone looked east, towards the attacker, trying to find the answer there. But maybe, when we want to understand someone else, we should really look within ourselves.
To be in a good place. That's when I'm interacting interculturally. Even at its most analog point, intellectually, I always get the feeling of being this great woman surfing on waves of freedom with no limits, where all of the riches of this world is free for me to use. And the riches of the world is found in internationally spread knowledge, great ideas, and the amazing people that carries them. And yes, they are always free for me to meet. The same reason I love intercultural dialogue is the same reason I love internet. Because it's all about sharing information. A constant give and take for the benefit of the giver and a taker for the benefit of mental development and cultural understanding. And that's why, for me, there is no difference in off or online mode. Because as long as you think, you are online, my friend. The difference is actually if you choose to log in or not. If you want to be connected or not. And in connection mode, the only thing that works is dialogue, not monologue.